Let's talk about the most successful business in human history. It didn't sell weapons, it didn't sell gold, it didn't sell spices from distant lands. It sold pee, human urine, warm, fresh, and taxed by the government. This is the completely true story of how the Roman Empire built part of its economy on the one resource every single citizen produced for free. Welcome back to Sketchy History. Today, we follow the money. Try not to think too hard about where it's been. Part 1. The Golden Liquid. To understand the pee tax, you first have to understand something deeply cursed about ancient Rome. They loved urine. Not casually, not occasionally, structurally. Roman urine was an industrial raw material, and business was booming. See, urine contains ammonia, and ammonia, it turns out, is fantastic at cleaning things. So the Romans used it to wash their clothes. Yes, to get their togas bright and white, they soaked them in fermented human pee. The whiter the toga, the richer the Roman. Which means the most respected men in Rome were walking around draped in the finest, most premium urine money could buy. The senator giving a powerful speech about honor and virtue marinated. It didn't stop at laundry. They used it to tan leather. They used it as a mouthwash to whiten their teeth. Let me repeat that, because you deserve to suffer with me. They gargled pee for a brighter smile. Roman dating must have been incredible. Part 2. The pee guys. Now, an entire industry needs a supply chain, and Rome had one. On street corners across the city stood large clay pots called dolia, public urinals. When nature called, a Roman would walk up, contribute to the economy, and walk away, having just done unpaid labor for a billion sesterces industry. The pots were collected by workers called fullers, the launderers, and these were not glamorous men. Their entire job was standing knee-deep in vats of aged urine, stomping laundry with their bare feet, all day, every day, in the pee. The fullers had a patron goddess, festivals, and a proud professional identity. Wow! Somewhere in Rome, a man came home, and his son asked, "Dad, what did you do today?" And he answered with genuine dignity, "I stood in strangers' urine and stomped, my boy, and I stomped well." That kid grew up wanting to be an accountant, just to spite him. Part 3. The Emperor Who Saw an Opportunity. Enter Vespasian. The year is 69 AD. Rome has just survived a brutal civil war. 4 different emperors in a single year. A period so chaotic, historians literally call it the year of the 4 emperors. 3 of them died. The last one standing was Vespasian. And Vespasian inherited a treasury that was completely, catastrophically empty. The previous emperor, Nero, had spent the state's money on things like a giant golden statue of himself and a party lake. Priorities. So Vespasian needed cash, fast. And he was a practical man, a former general who looked at the empire not as a glorious civilization, but as a spreadsheet. He looked around. He saw the roads, taxed. The ports, taxed. The salt, taxed. And then his gaze fell upon the humble street corner peapot, full, overflowing, making certain people very rich. And Vespasian thought, why not me? Part 4. The tax. So he did it. Vespasian slapped a tax on the collection of urine from Rome's public urinals. If you were a fuller or a tanner, and you wanted that sweet, sweet street pee, you now paid the emperor for the privilege. The government was, functionally, charging a subscription fee for liquid that fell out of people for free. It was genius. It was disgusting. It was extremely profitable. And the money poured in, which, given the product, is an unfortunate choice of words, but I'm keeping it. Part 5. The most famous father-son argument in Roman history. Now here's where it becomes legend. Vespasian had a son, Titus, future emperor, war hero, generally a serious young man. And Titus was mortified. His father, the ruler of the known world, was collecting tax money from pea pots. It was undignified. It was gross. It was frankly embarrassing at parties. So Titus complained, openly. He told his father the whole thing was beneath the office of emperor. And Vespasian, according to the historian Suetonius, did something magnificent. He waited. He let the first tax payments come in, a fat pile of gold coins. Then he called his son over. He picked up a handful of the coins, and he held them right up to Titus's nose. "Does it smell bad?" he asked. Titus, confused, said no. It just smelled like money. And Vespasian delivered the line that echoed for 2,000 years. And yet it comes from urine. Mic drop. Toga swish. A father winning an argument so hard it became a Latin proverb. Pecunia non olet. Money does not stink. He was basically saying, I don't care where the gold comes from, as long as it's gold. Which is either brilliant economic philosophy or the most cynical thing ever said by a man in a bedsheet. Possibly both. Part 6. The Legacy. Vespasian died in 79 AD, and even his death had comic timing. As he felt the end approaching, he reportedly joked, "Oh no, I think I'm becoming a god." Because Roman emperors were declared gods after death. He was mocking the entire tradition with his final breath. The man taxed pea and roasted the concept of his own divinity on the way out. An icon. But the pea tax outlived him. The phrase, money does not stink, became a permanent part of European thought. The go-to defense for anyone making money in a slightly shameful way. Bankers love it. Politicians love it. It's the unofficial motto of every questionable business decision in history. And it gets better. In France, to this day, public urinals are called Vespasian, named after him, forever. Think about your legacy for a second. You could win wars, build monuments, reform the government. Vespasian did all of that. And what did humanity decide to name after him? The public toilet. That is the darkest, funniest karma in all of history. A man so obsessed with squeezing gold out of urine that the universe said, "Fine, we'll remember you as a urinal. Enjoy eternity, king." So the next time you're doing something a little embarrassing to make ends meet, a weird side hustle, a job you don't tell people about, just remember Vespasian. Remember the pea tax. Remember that the money doesn't stink. And remember that 2,000 years from now, the only thing anyone might name after you is a toilet. Sleep well. If you enjoyed this, subscribe. We cover history's most ridiculous true stories every single week. The drawings don't get better, the stories do. See you in the next one. Go wash your hands.